to recognize your faith research in the academia prior to your incursion into public service. You are a widely cited professor of solid earth physics, a former local government chairman, Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology. These are not mean achievements. They are not mean achievements by any standard. And we celebrate you, sir, as you identify with us to mount this pulpit to preach the good news of today's lecture. Your topic, sustainable groundwater management strategies for long-term resource conservation, is indeed germane for a time like this, when we all need to pay intentional attention to taking care of our dear planet. Conservation and preservation of resources are essential because resources are limited in nature, and most of the resources that are used every day have limited stock. Also, the rate at which the resources are consumed today far exceeds the rate at which these resources are replenished. Natural water is life, and we need to take care of it and sustain it by taking conscious steps towards aquifer recharge, while also reducing pressure on surface water. Definitely, protecting our planet starts with you and I. It is in the light of the above that I wish to specially welcome you all to this learning experience. And in closing, I want to say that today is not for long speeches, especially on my part, standing in as the Vice Chancellor. So I would like to appreciate the Dean, College of Natural and Applied Sciences, and her team, especially the planning committee, for the success we anticipate of this program and for the effort we have put into making this a great success indeed. I wish to charge our students, and I'm pleased that many of you are here today, to please listen attentively to this lecture, as voices of authorities like this are not commonplaces. You are definitely laying the foundation for your own successful professional practices after your learning experience here at Violette. Thank you all, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Adeniyi. It is my sole pleasure this afternoon to read the citation of the guest lecturer, Professor Joseph Adeniyi, Olowofela. Guest lecturer, please step forward and remain standing for the reading of your citation. Thank you, sir. In the contemporary global landscape, a discernible trend emerges, emphasizing the world's yearning for individuals who stand resolute in their convictions, even in solitude. Leaders characterized by unwavering courage, purpose, and security are pivotal, embodying a readiness to embrace the unknown. May 3rd, 1963, in the sleepy but rapidly developing town of Atasie, near MIPAN, the local government area of Oyo State, Nigeria, Late Mr. Owen Adeniyi Olowofela and his mother wife, late Mrs. Violette Olowofela, were blessed with a baby boy named Joseph Adeniyi Olowofela. The boy is now Professor Joseph Adeniyi Olowofela, an academician of national and international repute, a grassroots mobilizer, political scientist, social crusader, human rights activist, and an epitome of celebrated achievement, whose contributions to the socio-political landscape of his community and state cannot be written off. His ilk constitutes great blessings to the Black race. Olowofela is happily married and blessed with children. Olowofela attended Hope Central Primary School between 1969 and 1975, before proceeding to United Christian Secondary School between 1976 and 1981. He later proceeded to the University of Ibadan between 1982 and 1986 to earn his bachelor's. Local government area of Old Anambra State as a physics teacher, and thereafter studied for and earned his master's in the year 1987 and PhD solid earth physics in the year 1995 respectively. Professional life. Continuing, he lectured at the Department of Physics, University of Ibadan, between 1991 and 2003, and later joined the services of the Federal University of Agriculture, UNAM, Abeokuta, first on a sabbatical appointment from 2003 to 2004, then as an associate professor and head of department from 2005 to 2007. Which include a certificate in seismic hazard assessment obtained from Potsdam, Germany, a certificate in water resources in Flemberg, Germany, and a certificate in microprocessors obtained from the United Nations University, Rome, Italy, as well as the International Center for Theoretical Physics, Italy, among others. Professor Olowofela has since successfully trained over 25,000 students and supervised over 50 DSC projects and more than 15 PhD projects, some of whom have become professors and associate professors. In the course of his academic career, he has more than 70 publications to his credit, two of which are being used by university students in Germany today. His scholarly works have been cited by 700 foreign journals and read by over 15,000 globally. Political life. With a passion to lift the fortunes of his community and people, and with the desire to right societal wrongs while promoting freedom and social justice, Olowofela joined active politics in the 1980s. His sole objective remained an advocacy for the improvement responsible and effective governance. The democratic professor has served different parties and governments in various capacities, which include National Delegates, National Republican Convention, 1990. Member Governing Council, Oyo State College of Education, Oyo, 2000. 2003. Chairmanship aspirant, All Nigerian People's Party, ANPP. He won the controversial election conducted by the then Oyo State Governor, His Excellency Senator Rashidi Ladoja, in the year 2007. He was appointed by the Governor, His Excellency Senator Abiola Ajibobi, as Transition Committee Chairman, Ido Local Government, from 2011 to December 2014. He was also appointed as the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Oyo State, from June 2016 to September 2018. Federal Character Commission Commissioner, representing Oyo State from 2020 till date. Member Police Recruitment Board, 2003 till date. Awards and honors. To the glory of God, Professor Olowofela has received several awards, including number 1, overall best performed local government chairman in Nigeria. In the year 2012, at the 19th edition of National Award for Excellence in Grassroots Leadership, presented by Grassroots Leadership Center, Abuja. Overall best performed local government chairman in Nigeria 2012 on what education at the 10th edition of the All Nigerian Local Government Chairman Merit Award 2012 by Mentors Communication. Presented by the Yoruba Youth Development Council. Oyo State Commissioner of the Year at the 2017 Miss Oyo State Beauty Pageant, an award presented by Silverstone Communications. Prestigious Award of Ambassador of Ethics and Conscience. Emerged as one of the 50 most inspiring personalities in Nigeria, according to the Guardian newspaper. Oyo State Commissioner of the Year at the 2018 Oyo Herald Magazine Annual Lecture and Merit Awards. Award of Excellence at the 2018 Prominent Oyo People's Awards by Cornerstone Media International. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, ably represented by our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Adeniyi. I present to you today our guest lecturer, Professor Joseph Adeniyi, Olowofela. Thank you very much. Sorry, sir. Please, before you, I just want to take a quick announcement. The owner of Toyota Land Cruiser PR 700BX NSF 174GZ to repack, please. Thank you very much, sir.
First and foremost, I thank God Almighty for the opportunity to be here today. And I'm also happy to be here. This is one of the legacies of one of the most prominent Nigerians, our former president, Atasie. And I thank the manager of the institution, under the leadership of the Vice Chancellor, who is legally absent in order to attend to other official matters. We thank the Deputy Vice Chancellor for the time given to us, and my chief host, the Dean, College of Natural Sciences. I thank you. Not in order of protocol. The University of Liberia is pardon me. I thank all the staff of owners and the university community. Do we have Nigerian students here? Great Nigerian students. I think I want to address you in particular. So that's the essence of today's lecture on groundwater exploration, sustainability, and management. The lecture is classified into 3 parts: the technical aspect, then something of my own little contribution, then the concluding aspect. So before you talk about groundwater, you must talk about the interior of the earth. As we are sitting down, we can say we are sitting on extremely hot, but unknown to us, interior of the earth. Because essentially, the earth itself is divided. If you look at it as a globe, this is not essentially a globe, but let's assume that it's a globe as a sphere. You have the layers. The earth itself is in layers. Then you have the center, which we call the core. The core is solid. That's that center. Then surrounded by the molten part. So we have what we call the inner core and the outer core. Then you have, followed by the mantle, you have the crust. Why are we mentioning that one? Because where you get groundwater is beneath the surface of the earth. But where you are exploring is extremely small. Because the radius of the earth is more than 6,000 kilometers. So, where human beings have ever drilled is less than 20 kilometers. So, when you compare depth of 20 to about 6,000, then you know that you are dealing with extreme layers, extremely small. So, that's what I'm saying. The groundwater is present beneath the earth's surface, in rocks and pores, in fractures of rock formation. About 30% of all available freshwater in the world are groundwater. A unit of rock of consolidated deposit is called aquifer, when it can yield a usable quantity of water. When you are looking at groundwater, you must bear in mind 2 things. When you have rainfall, some will percolate into the ground. Some will run off as runoff water, some will be evaporated. But the whole system is almost constant. Year in, year out. Then the percolated water, you have what called the saturation and non-saturated part. The outer part is non-saturated. The inner part is saturated. Then the layer that is the bed, the layer between non-saturated and saturated is what we refer to as water table. What do we call it? What do we call it? You are not answering me. No, I'm not asking you what the. That's why I'm asking for students. We are students here. What do we call it? Water table. You know, I've talked about the infrastructure of the earth. You know, that is, we are talking about the soil surface. So I won't say too much there. That is the interior of the earth. The inner core is there, you know, and the bluish part, as well as the outer part, you know, those ones are what we have. Then the cycle of water is almost constant. You have rainfall, falls into the sea, there's evapotranspiration, you have cloud falls as water again. So, and that's why in about 3,000 BC, the book of Ecclesiastes 17, Solomon said, all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Until the place from whence the rivers come, for that they return again. That is the cycle. You know, but that is not the main subject of our discussion here. When you are talking to get groundwater, you have to dig. In digging, you are looking at the shell. Like if you have egg, that outer part is what we refer to as shell. Very thin part, you know, of the shell is the crust, and the thin part of that one is where you have your groundwater. Very thin part, you know, of the shell. Now, when you look at that diagram, I want you to look at that broken lines in white. I hope we have seen it. Have you seen it? Are we sleeping? Are we still alive? Okay. So if you are still alive, you know, when the water percolates, that white part, you have the upper part, you have the bottom part, and you can see that bluish content. That is where water is trapped there. There are some elements of water before you get to that blue part. That blue part is what we call the aquifer. Okay? And here we have the saturated water. At the top, we have the unsaturated water. That unsaturated water is also useful. It's the one that is being used by plants through the capillary rise and so forth, and so on and so forth. You know, so that broken green color too shows the water table. You know, and you can have what you call you have the lake there, you have the river. You know. The region above water table, where water rises due to the capillary forces in the porous medium, is what we call the capillary fringe. You know, and under that water table, as I've told you that we have saturated plates, unsaturated plates, and I've also told you something about aquifer. What do you understand by aquifer? Anybody? But are we still alive? Are you following me? I'm here for the students. Are you following me? Okay. So, when you look at that curve, you have column. Okay? We said that's water table. Above is, above it, is non-saturated part. Below it is saturated part. And you can have two types of aquifer here. You have the confined aquifer, then you also have confined aquifer. Now, the aquifer that is useful, you can use groundwater when you dig your well. Most of the time you get to the water table first, where you get your water. But when you get it, if you go to park, you can get to your aquifer. So I'll talk about the confined and non-confined aquifer. Then let's look at contamination. Because you do everything on the surface of the earth, then that means that even when you have the contaminants, they can populate. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Do you know why I'm asking a question? I've told the deputy vice chancellor. He said when you are teaching an adult, whatever you want to say, you must say it in the first 17 minutes. If you don't say it in the first 17 minutes, you may be wasting your time. Because the adult will start thinking about his friend or enemy, about the wife or the children. So I know that you are also adults, so I'm making effort so that we can make quick understanding of why we are here. So look at that top part where we have contaminants. That contaminant can also percolate. Please look at the diagram very well. That contaminant can percolate into the ground. When it percolates, what did it strike first? It strike that water table, isn't it? Can you see it? Do we have contact? Do we have contact? Technical. You are the technical. Anyway, we have, if you can't see this diagram, what else are you saying? Now, what I'm saying is that you have the contaminant at the top, and it percolates down with that arrow. Look at there, the parallel arrow. There are two aquifers there. We have the unconfined aquifer, which have the first well. Have you seen it? Are you following it at all? Then you have the second well. Which one is deeper? The first or second? Over there. I hope I'm not talking to myself. Which is deeper, the first and second? Thank you. Now, when you look at that first, although it's also an aquifer, or confined aquifer, that contaminant will get there. Are you following the flow? So that when you draw water out there, you will be getting contaminated water. But the second one, reaches the confined or artificial aquifer. That contaminant is not getting there. That water is safe. Can you see the difference? Can you see the difference? That means you cannot, we have contaminants everywhere, but you have strategy to overcome the contaminant. I've spoken about that. Then, when you are talking about aquifer, there are properties that you look at, which has to do with porosity and permeability. What do I say? Again, Again? And if I leave, if they ask me that like, do you hear anything, you can always say, I had. Thank you. You can always say, when the man said porosity and permeability. When you are talking about porous, that means either you have space or void, then you have some parts which are solid. So you can, in this instance, you can have water through the pores. The one that the medium that you always investigate is the one that you have when you are digging, so that have sand or gravel. Because for sand is more porous and gravel. Then it's also permeable. Water can easily flow through it on that plane. That is where you have the aquifer. So, how do you explore groundwater? You have to dig. You have to do what? You have to do what? You have to do what? But you must know where to dig, isn't it? In order to know where to dig, there are essentially two methods: scientific method or a non-scientific method. How many methods? How many methods? Scientific means that you can prove it, that this is why it happens. Non-scientific too. It's like you can't prove it, but it works, at least for some people. Let's look at non-scientific method. In some places, it's like witchcraft. You know what they call witchcraft? They will look for maybe something like 2 sticks, 1 stick here, another stick here. Then they cut it a little bit so that they can hold this one and hold this one. And now move around. While they are moving around, they are still parallel. But when you get to where water is, they will cross. Why it cross? I don't know. You understand? But it's not scientific. That's not science, isn't it? Or at least you have no explanation. Even if it's scientific. Because at times, because you can't explain something, does not mean that it's not scientific. It is working. And that's what they do. And they are not charged incantation. Maybe there are some forces which they are using to achieve that one. There are other methods, but the one that we use generally is electrical methods. There are other methods which we have here. The first time is what we call the experimental methods. We have the morphological methods, biological and structural methods, soil and microbiological methods, remote sensing, surface geophysical methods. So from the subsurface methods, the one that's very commonly used is electrical resistivity method. Who has not done any science here? Have you done elementary science? If I ask you that, what's an electron? You know it. Or current. So people are just hiding their face that this man wants to do exam. I'm not doing the exam, but I want you to follow me. Where we have electricity, we have current, but the technique that you use for resistivity method is that you look for a way to pass current into the earth. And what you do, if you have near to the ground a metal, you can be a nail it there, nail this one. If you connect back into it, we are expecting that some of the current will pass through the ground But in between those two nails, where you are pastoring there's what called potential difference or the voltage. It would have changed. So you can measure from the laboratory, you can measure down with voltmeter the potential difference between the current that you use to pass current into that area. From there, from basic Ohm's law, look at the Ohm's law here. Ohm's law. Is there anybody in 100 level physics or any level engineering? Anyway, essentially, V is equal to Ohm's law. V is equal to what? What is happening here? V is equal to what? V is equal to IR. The voltage is proportional to the current. That's what it's all about. We are R for resistance. But from R, you can get resistivity. So, the opposite, when you say something has high resistivity, that means it has low conductivity. If the conductivity is low, resistivity is high. So what you are looking for underground, when you send current that way, what you are looking for is essentially where you get high conductivity. What I said is supposed to be non-conducting ordinarily, but there's nothing like pure water. There's nothing like because all water that you find, they will contain the surfaces. I think chemists are there. They will contain the surfaces. So you have ions that makes the water inside the ground conductive. So if you can discover where you have the high conductivity, then you can determine that this location there is water there. That's how you determine it. But your resistivity techniques, the equipment that we use for it called thermometer. Well, you can also say resistivity meter. It will also determine when you have carried out your measurements, then you analyze it such that you not only know the depth, but you also know the distance, you know the location before drilling. But is that what you do most of the time? No, that's not what we do. Most of the time when you build your houses, you just look around. You have your parlor here, you have your toilet here, you can fit the garden. You understand what I say? Every dig away here. You went on the back from the seaweed, toilet, that's all, most of the time. But at times it works, At times it works. It was because of the geology of this area. The geology differs from one place to the other. So, but if you want to be specific, you are going to spend money. You want to drill borehole, then you have to carry out the investigation. Let me tell you one story, and it's a true life story. In the year 1969 to 74, my mom was selling amala, but what usually had a water problem that time. We now, maybe by 11 p.m., 12 p.m., middle of the night, we trek about 2 kilometers to go and search for water. We still need to do that, but since we are selling food, we must get water at all costs. Years later, my mother is late anyway. It's not in the business again. Maybe I don't know what they do there. Years later, we now dug a well about almost at the back of where we have our shop that time. and we have water that is very functional and is still useful. Then I asked myself, what was the essence of trekking close to 2 kilometers, risking our lives at night when we are walking over water? You know, what the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. If we had had the knowledge of that, we have the groundwater there. Even the people that were buying food from us would have done that place free of charge for us. You know, so knowledge is critical in this instance. So under this electrical resistivity, I have told you the technique, and the technique is universal. Just ensure that you have means of sending current to the ground and have means of measuring the potential difference in between the current electrons. In fact, you know, so where you have position of high conductivity, you know that you have that level of water there. There will be some other things that will give rise to that. You know, that's why sometimes somebody said, geophysics is more of an art than a science. You know, because there are, and that's why you cannot use potential techniques here. What I mean by potential techniques, you have techniques like gravity techniques, magnetic techniques, in which just we are looking for small variations in the magnetic field. You see magnetometer directly. You know, it's going to be very expensive and cannot. They are all they have. You know, very expensive, but we will not give you precise location like the resistivity technique. So we now know. So far, if I ask you, what do you know? You should be able to tell me. At least I know what happened. Isn't it? And recaptured. You can say you know saturated point. We know aquifer. Are you following me? Then we know that in order to locate where water is, you can use esoteric method. When we are young, when money is stolen, you say you want to catch the thief. You now say, go and look for a key, put it in Bible, bind the Bible, put your hand, you know, reciting the name of so. The person say, what the Bible wrote like this, you have caught the thief. Whether it's working or it's not working, at least at the point you know, whether due to the psychology of those people who need the key. You know, similarly to the esoteric method of finding water, you know, and other methods. But the one that we recommend is the resistivity techniques. Yes, thermometer is expensive, but they say if education is expensive, try ignorance. You cannot, because it's expensive and begin to drill holes everywhere, because even though groundwater can be found everywhere, it's not everywhere you find aquifer. Are we following it? Groundwater is everywhere. Aquifer is not everywhere. You must locate it because it can be trapped. How many minutes do I have again? Because everything is said, okay, make sure 30 minutes. You know that more than 30 minutes. And I suspect I've spent more than 30 minutes. You know, everything they forgive me. Now, if you are in a community and groundwater is the source of the water, you have to monitor that groundwater. What you do is that at least you must have network of drill holes. I don't know the water that you are using in this community, but I know that somewhere there must be water. I guess that. You know, so you must have network of drill holes. Then you have one in which you are not charging from it, you are not taking water from it. You know, it's the water from that one and when you are taking water from that, to make comparison from now and then. There are methods that you use to know whether there is safety in the water you are taking or not. This is the specialist of geologist. You know, when I was talking about passing current through the ground and like that, there are different electrode. There are different methods. You know, level when array, level array, somebody array, and so on and so forth. I've talked about groundwater monitoring. It says that you must have, let's say you have one bubble here, you have network. Other bubbles, that's when you are taking water, you are not taking from here. Then you compare water from there with other network water. Then you're able to decide when it's like you are using this one as baseline. When we are doing experiment, you say this one is baseline. Then other ones, the one you are charging for, is you can compare the water from there with that of the baseline. You're able to know whether there's any problem with the groundwater or not. So that is, you know. Then when we talk small grammar here, have we personally contributed to groundwater before? The answer is yes. You know, when we are having a problem buying a parameter and want to be sure that we will still carry out the trade, I and my team, we make our own laboratory parameter, which we call fabric of resistivity by Olowofela et al. This one was published by local journal Physics, Volume 26, Paper 5. With this one, you may not get exactly that you get with your parameter, but it still works. And you can easily get the paper. I'm talking to the student now. You can easily get the paper, you search it, you improve on it to see what you can do. Then, on this groundwater too, we have I and some of my team, we have worked in Ogun State here, in Oyo State, in Lagos State, looking for groundwater. Some are consultancy, some are for projects, MSc projects, PhD projects, and so on and so forth. So we look at the nature of approximate depth where you are likely to get groundwater in this region. But we also have what we call the mapping of groundwater in Nigeria. So apart from investigating for the purpose of academics, as President of Ghana, I was employed as Commissioner, Chairman of local government since January 2011 and December 2014. And I have my own agenda, which I call WWW. The first of it is water. Water and well-being. Water, welfare, and well-being. So, I found out that in the scripture, when Jesus Christ was tested, he got to the well. He met the lady that said, "Give me water to drink." And that one was hesitant. He said, "Go and call the husband for me." He said, "I don't have a husband." He said, "I don't have a husband." Not that I don't have a husband. The first one will not die, another one died, and so on and so forth. So the man was worried that who is this person? And I said, if you know the person asking for water, you will have given him water. He said, this water was used by Abraham, our father. When you look at the Abraham period and Jesus Christ period, at least physically, it's more than 700 years. It's even going to be close to 1,000. If a source of water can survive for more than 1,000 years, then that source of water is sustainable. So what we are saying is that the most sustainable of all this water is well water. That's the most sustainable. And I am sure that during my time as council chairman, I gave them more than 100 wells in our different locations in the local government that time. But I said, hey, sir, Olowofela, he said, what I don't get anything, isn't it? What I don't get anything, what I don't get anything. There was a time I gave the community, in fact, the community is at Idota, behind the garage there. I gave them bubble. But there are some people that are fighting me politically. They said that the bubble is not functioning. I went there, I put on the car, and water was running out. So I knew that it was functioning. By the time I came back, the following day, during the night, they vandalized the water. So water can have anything. Water can do what? Water can have anything. So those that vandalize that my bubble, they are the enemy of the people. It is strange that virtually most people are not even used to public water again. When we are young, maybe in the 70s, early 70s, you can get somewhere, you turn on the water, you get water. This generation, which I call digital generation, they don't even know about public water again. And it is the responsibility of government to provide public water. So we are using this place, whether council, whether state government and federal government, provision of water is sine qua non for the citizenry. And if a government fails to give water to the people, it's the enemy of the people. But when they give water, I've seen people, when they want to build their own houses, they cut the pipes. People cutting the pipes of government, they are what? They are the enemies. So what are they telling me? So it is on this note, Mr. Vice Chancellor, I want to say what I don't get telling me, but I'm stopping here. I appreciate the entire management of BEST for giving me an opportunity to say what of this about groundwater. We look at some small technical aspects. We mention some of our contributions. We have told you the most sustainable water, and we have also told you that water don't get anything, water can also get it. Thank you, and God bless you.
Let us sustain the applause until we sit down. Thank you very much, sir, for that very enlightening seminar. I learned a lot. I understand why some water bodies are not as clean as others. I understand why it is easier to hit some water bodies, and sometimes you have to dig deeper to find some other water bodies. And I am especially very interested in the esoteric method of finding water. I don't know if that is researchable. I would like us to research into it. I am really very interested because I think it is so far effective. So we want to know why it is not scientific. I think there must be a scientific reason for it. Before we conclude that it is not scientific, we have to research into it. Thank you very much, sir. That was very, very interesting. Dr. Esia is coming up to take the question and answer session. Let's put our heads together for Dr. Reginald.
Please permit me to stand on the already established protocol. I want to really commend the guest lecturer for giving us such an erudite, delivery of that lecture. It was very interesting. For me, it looked more like a classroom lecture than this kind of atmosphere that we find ourselves. I have the privilege of handling the microphones. Let's just ask from the technical point of view, sir. You mentioned that the conductivity of those ions are key to determining the spots where we will find water. Now, I know that other ions could be at play. There are OH minus from water, H plus, and other metal contaminants. Are this part of the conduction process? Okay, sir. So, I'm sure other people are ready, especially students, to ask their questions. The guest lecturer will take all of them at once. So, if you are prepared to ask questions, please can you signify by raising your hand so the microphone can come to you. Okay, please, can you write down your questions? And we'll come around to collect them.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, for the presentation. I just drove into the school this afternoon, so I saw the banner and decided I'll be part of this session. By the way, I just finished my master's with Violette University, mechanical engineering. I work for a water multinational with headquarters in Bergenbro, Denmark. Perhaps I just need to mention their name. It's called Groundwater. As you know, we manufacture pumps, water pumps precisely. So my job here is to look after the Nigerian market, Liberia and Sierra Leone. In the course of working, I have seen a lot of water challenges, and that's why I decided to stay back. From your experience, I no doubt you've been around for a long time. What would be your recommendation in solving the water challenge in Nigeria? And I'm glad you also mentioned the fact that humans are now enemy of water, because just a couple of days ago, I came back from Violette in Abia State, and we went to water infrastructure on the line. So, on one hand, we want to say government is not providing the water infrastructure. On another hand, we also have humans vandalizing the water infrastructure that we already provided. But just looking forward, how do we solve the water challenge in our dear country, Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very interesting lecture. I want to deviate a little bit from your lecture. You talked about the water cycle, starting from precipitation to the runoff, to the surface water, the underground water. And it kept me wondering. In my village, we have people we call rain holders and rain makers. Is there any scientific basis for those people holding rain? When you are doing a function, especially during the rainy season, people pay them a whole lot of money to hold the rain for them. So it got me thinking when I looked at this electrical resistivity. Is there any relationship with that? Or the magnetic technique or what? I don't know if you experience it too in your place. Thank you, sir.
So Thank you, Prof. Please, we're still expecting more people to ask questions.
Thank you, sir, for that lecture. Wonderful lecture. It was a teaching, not lecture. It was a teaching. My question is, I have an observation and a question. First, the question. Okay, observation first. You know, we have many underground water here in Oga. Case study, my own, my house. I have underground water. But how will I know that this underground water I'm consuming every day is pure? My neighbors have underground water. How will you determine that whether this underground water, majority of people living in Oga know, even around these depths, dry, out of the groundwater, even inside them, they are using underground water. How will you know that it's pure? I will be consuming this water. And my observation, I will say since I was born, I've not seen tap running like what I observe is underground water that we pump to water. Everybody is using it. Runs into the toilet and inside the house. So I don't know if is there any problem that this underground water is going to cause the planet Earth since we are in planet change? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Olowofela from the Department of Biological Sciences. Sir, I want to ask, I'm more interested in the management strategies. So I want to know, since we have various uses of water, like either home or industrial uses, I want to know, is there anything that one can do that will result into poor management of underground water? What are those strategies that we need to consider as part of underground management management of underground water? Thank you, sir.
Please, this is a very interesting opportunity for students to ask questions. How many students are ready to ask their questions? Please. How many students are ready? This is for students. Or can you write your questions and send them across so that we give it to the guest lecturer? Do we have any other person ready to ask questions? Okay. If you have written your questions, can we have them? Can we pass them on if you have written any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure we have come to the end of this session. Can I now call on the guest lecturer to respond? Thank you, sir.
I will start with the question of the moderator. He asked about what are the components or the elements that can lead to high conductivity. Virtually everything that can cause polarity will cause high conductivity within the water. People will think, you have measured iron plus and so on and so forth. It will cause high conductivity. It's a good attribute for discovering water in the underground. Then there's somebody who talks about the water pump. It's ordinarily, if you have an open aquifer somewhere, let's say somewhere here, and it's a hill, maybe the water charging to that aquifer is a hill. Through capillary, or at times when you are digging borehole, you see that when you get to the aquifer, the water will gush out if they are running to your because of the pressure difference. But at times that pressure may normalize, and then you need pump to pump the water to higher reservoir by which you can distribute through gravity. So You also mentioned about how do you stop vandalism. My own experience, what I did was that places where we cited Bob to when I was council chairman, we called the community. We said, this one belongs to you. Manage it. If you like, destroy it. If you like, protect it. It does not belong to the government, it belongs to you. Something that belongs to the government, people don't care. But something that belongs to individuals, they protect it. So once you hand it over, you can be the community leader, you can be the landlord in that area, to know that this thing belongs to them. They will do something, they will protect it. When I was a commissioner for education in the state, we insisted that there was the minimum mark that it was obtained before you can be promoted to the next class. We said 5 credits, including either English or math. We didn't say compulsory, either. We consider either strong in English or you may be strong in English, good in math, or strong in math, and so on. When we started the policy, some school in the Salvador, they destroyed their school. When they destroyed the school, my boss, Dr. McNally, he said, what are you doing? I said, I closed down the school. He said, that's good. He said, it will remain closed until the community understands that is their property and they rebuild it. It is when they have rebuilt the school that they came to us. You know, so I will open the school. Ownership is critical. That's why the people will kill for their land. If they say, this land is your father's farm, you are willing to kill another person. You don't even know the issue. Because you know that this land belongs to your father, you protect it. So the same thing, when government project is cited, it must be handed over to either an individual, a community leader, or a group of people that will maintain it, that they will use it to also maintain it. So, and on the issue of pump, there's nothing you can do. You only require pump. So, where you are working, my brother, you cannot be out of business. Pumps will also always be required. Then somebody talked about very boldness and scientific methods. You see, there are some people that claim that they can make rainfall. They fire something to the atmosphere. They believe that the water droplets will coagulate and things like that. But the one that is being done locally is we don't know the science behind it. But I suspect it's metaphysics, not physics. You understand? So, as anyone is metaphysical, the way it operates is different. Like, for instance, prayer is metaphysical. You pray that Lord of hosts, Lord of heaven, do this thing for me. God may do it for you. You may do it for you and not do it for me. But you are praying the same prayer. You can be asking questions. Why is that? He does it for you, he says do it for me. Maybe your own time has not come. Your time will come in Jesus' name. So, I don't believe that one is metaphysical. I'm a scientist. I don't know much about metaphysics. So, I don't know the formula that they use. Somebody said they are using groundwater. He said, how do we know it's pure? There's no pure water. You understand? You can only have good water. Your water is not even, your water contains dissolved material. So if you want to investigate, you can come to the lab. We will check, I think we have a chemistry laboratory here. They will tell you what the water contains, whether it's still something that you can manage, that is still not injurious to the air, but there's no pure water. You have, when I was coming yesterday, I saw somebody selling water. I said, bottled water. And I said, this is the right one. We are just bottling it. You can't guarantee whether it contains jams or whatever. Just bottle it. So, unless you do scientific investigation by coming to the laboratory, you can know that the level of contaminants, whether it is injurious or discerning. When somebody said he has never seen tap runs, I don't need to ask for your age, but I know that you must have been born after 70s, after early 70s. You understand? I can guarantee that. You see, it is very strange. It is very, and it's very unfair that you cannot even manage water. You know, it's uncalled for. Public water is something that our government, you know, if the governor of the state cannot bring public water, what is it bringing to you? And it's not peculiar to the state. It's virtually all the states in the country. And you have rivers here and there. You know, what is so difficult in grabbing your water, pumping the water to the station, and heating it up, and this will fill the taps. So a generation that cannot manage water will now manage oil. That's the crisis we are having. It's our problem. So, water that never runs. That's what running in the 60s and the early 70s. But by the time you are getting to the late 70s, anybody that is born in the late, I know that most of our children will be either late 80s and 90s. They will just think that running down in the public domain is a purple story. And then somebody asked about management strategies. Management strategies are what we want to, that deep well is most sustainable. You know, but if you want to be selling water and you have borehole, of course you will pump in your borehole and you protect it. Then what you now get is that what is the economy of pumping it? Because if you are running on diesel, if you don't have public electricity, you are running on diesel, how much can you sell it? You can use basic economic scale and determine whether your selling of that water is justified based on the amount of energy in culture, part of money spent on energy in order to achieve that one. So I thank you for the questions which you have asked, which I've tried to answer. Another question which has not been asked, which I will ask and answer, is that we mentioned the flow. Is it the way you use hose law for current in empty flow, water, oil, you have what governs is what called the Atasie law. It's equivalent to hose law, current. Atasie law. But most of the flow is not Atasie. You know, Olowofela and Adeniyi they have established that one, that most of the flow are not Atasie. But for an ideal flow system, still use Atasie equation. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I think I'm permitted to sit down. Thank you and God bless you.
Permit me to guest lecturer, sir, for troubling you once again. Our students have been sending in some of these questions. We have 3 questions now sent in by students.
Yeah.
One of them is concerning water issues that we have in Nigeria, most especially drainages are always blocked and are also dirty, and there are also dirty water bodies. What measures do you think we can take as individuals to fight this, especially with the changing climate issues? The next one is, are there innovative technologies or practices that promote the sustainable extraction of underground water? And finally, why is it that when I open some bottled water, it gives the gas sound like it is carbonated? Thank you, sir.
Okay. See, someone talked about drainage. Drainage is about planning. But anytime, when you have a community, you must have a plan. So drainage too must be planned within the city. But most of the time, it's not planned. And I'm happy that we are talking to young people because we said that when a man reaches 60 years of age and he jumps up and he says, "A man has come." A man has not come, a man is going. Wọ́n tẹ̀ bá fò sókè náà ti kọ́kọ́ náà ọdún tó fò sókè tó lọ́kùnrin ní ọkùnrin òbí ọkùnrin lọ ẹ̀yìn lẹ̀ ń dé planning. That is the job of the planners. And when you look at people who are doing civil engineering, it is also part of what they must do. You must plan the water that is getting out of the city, where is it going to? I sat in the east and I saw something that interested me. In about 2 or 3 houses, they have this big tank in the house. As the rain was falling, they were collecting water into those tanks. So that maybe during the dry season when there's no water, they use that water. That is using your brain. Anything that you can use your brain for, based on simple science, is what called innovation. What is innovation? What is innovation? You can create small ideas. You add it to an technology, you will say you are innovative. So, I'm taking the point to answer the second question, innovative technology. So far, we have been using existing technology. But I can give you something to try for free. Because I've been thinking about it. And it can be a project. There's what's called the acoustic impedance. Acoustic impedance. When you send waves, well, as we're talking now, as I'm talking, when the waves strike that wall, it's going to be reflected back. And so we can determine the length of that place. And that's what the bat is using. So if you have a device, let's say, which you have on top of the other like this, that can give certain sound, depending on the wavelength, it could be sonic, it could be hypersonic. It's going to be striking structure there. The structure that is striking will be reflected. Some will be transmitted, some will be absorbed. If you now have a data that can read this, you can begin to see whether you analyze it for water or for water material. That is what I'm submitting as my own innovation, which you can try your own project, whether it will work or it will not work, I don't know. But I have to do simple pieces. So somebody said he experienced gas hands when he opens his own pure water or hot water. I don't know, the company will deliberately, classify it. That's one. Then there may be a danger too. If you are getting the water from this methane, then it's going to give out gas and going to give you pressure. And methane is also combustible. If it's fine in high quality, you can use for combustion. And that's why some of our excretors, they can package it very well, and ensure that you get clean energy from it. For those who understand the principle. For the students that are here, I thank you because you ask questions. For my colleagues, lecturers, and senior people that are here, I thank you because you left your time to come and listen to my story. Thank you and God bless you.
Let me appreciate Professor Olowofela once again for that well-delivered lecture. Thank you, sir, and God bless you. When we look at the topic of today, it's is in line with the university objective that our activity or even research study must be able to address one of the goals of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You know, we have 17 goals. When you look at this particular topic, it's addressing goal number 6, which is center on good water and sanitation. So once more, Prof, we thank you for this lecture. So the next activity is the presentation of gifts. Presentation of awards to best students in the College of Natural and Applied Sciences. And to do that is our Dean, Professor Atasie. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. Still standing on the existing protocol. While I want to really appreciate the guest lecturer, and I want our guest lecturer to know that we have a tradition of trying to motivate our students. So we have students at the end of each academic session that have the overall CGPA at any level. So it helps to keep it up and at the same time also encourage others. On that note, we have some of our students that have excelled very well in their academic career. And we have one of them, and I will with the indulgence of the guest lecturer to do this, so that they will appreciate that yes, you came and they did not only listen to you, but they have closer contact with you. I'll call the first person. Olatunji, are you here? Yes. Gender sensitive.
Academic performance award. You are a friend. Congratulations.
The next person is Olowofela Raphael Odera, Department of Biological Sciences, CGPA 4.90. CGPA 4.90. Olowofela Raphael Odera. Is he there? The HOD Department of Biological Sciences, can you get a prize for your students? Yes, that is the actual job of what day will man.
This is for biological sciences. Academic Performance Award. Olowofela Raphael Odera. Given to him through his schedule.
Well done.